What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. Been jamming away, doing all sorts of odds and ends, cleaning up more than anything else because it's been a minute, but rearranged some trailers and stuff, parked the boat, still more to do on that end, but got the Falcon stashed over here for now, got the diesel compressor hooked up with the block heater plugged in because I'm doing a test on that. Tractor's just been moving everything back and forth. And then rearranged some of the bike stuff and then finally cleaned up. Like, we still had stuff laying on the ground from Chopper Barn. Dottie's little mess of mini bike stuff is gone with metric tools that I had to buy for her. And then I lifted up this sporty motor onto the frame. This is for that 81, 79 to 81. I think I'm gonna grab my motor mounts that I got sitting behind those torches and slap this in for him. Just waiting for quick payment on the hardtail bits, and then we got tons of parts over there. So a 16-inch rear wheel and an 18. We'll kind of lay out rough chopper things and figure out what he wants to do. I don't know if he wants me to weld in like tank bungs and all those other things. It really depends on what he wants to order and what kind of bike he wants to build. I know he was talking about doing a Springer front end, but he wanted to get something new. We'll see. Time will tell. As it sits, it's primered. It's all in one piece. I don't mind dropping the motor in, throwing a rear wheel on, essentially make a roller for him to take back, and then it's drilling and tapping for gas tank, oil tank, all those other fun bits, which will be dictated by how he chooses to build the bike. Electric start only on that one, but should be fine. I mean, if it was mine, I'd cut the oil filter, I'd cut the little circuit breaker panel and all that other stuff, but for right now, this is what he gets. Motor should bolt right in. We'll tighten that down for him and give him back a motor and roller and then figure it out from there. But we're here for the Cowie today. So I just topped off the fuel off camera on this little bottle. It is extremely loose and does not anywhere come close to actually fitting in there. But let's turn that on and fill up these bowls. It's gonna leak out the lid. I know, it's leaking. But let's get that going and then see if we can get this thing to light off on its own. I did put vacuum plugs on the carburetors. Battery has been charging indefinitely. We're gonna move that in a minute. It says it's got a full charge on the battery tender. So, in theory, if these carbs aren't completely gummed up and clogged, which I think they are, this should start. We don't have a ton of gas leaking out of this. And I think, what do I got? 1 can of starting fluid left. 1 more can. So we'll spray this in there. Go wide open here, load up the air box. But it is hooked up to a bottle of fuel, so I went to go hit the button and then forgot that it doesn't work, so screwdriver trick. It's actually closer than it was before. I don't remember which way the choke goes on this. I don't know which one's open or closed. Come on. Oh. We got a runner. I mean, it's not happy, but it is running. That's wide open. It's chugging along. That's not what you want to happen. Woo. That's not what you want to happen. Woo. That's not what you want to happen. Whew. Way too much starting fluid and fuel. Well, I lit myself on fire. I lit the bike on fire. That's fine. Good start. It's just ether. Ooh, that caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. Little hack jobs, but that's fine. I think it was just ether coming down through that whole entire plastic intake box is loaded with starting fluid. Do we try and start it again? It almost idles. It's like you would never know that it just literally blew up in a giant fireball. I didn't think that this was going to turn into a fun YouTube video series because it's cowies and all, but yeah, we lit that on fire pretty quick. It runs, but down here, I got the 2 caliper bolts. Sorry. If I sound like I'm breathing a little heavy, it's because that genuinely just scared the crap out of me and could have gone way, way worse. Don't be an idiot and spray fluid into a bike the entire time without a fire extinguisher handy. I got one somewhere up here, but whoo-hee. Always fun and exciting over here. Wouldn't that be ironic? I burned down all of my shovel heads and Harleys that I care about with a crappy Jap bike that I don't care at all about. Oh well. So it runs, barely. So now that it's running, that's fine. I'm probably still gonna pull the carbs and just give them a deep clean. But the brakes on this are shot. So in this bin of parts and stuff, that's the starter switch that I need to hook up and rewire. That's all the seals for all of the calipers. And I think this one, that should be the front master cylinder. So I'm gonna disconnect the fuel bottle and all the sketchy leaking things that I literally talked about right before I hooked this all up and almost burnt down the entire barn. And yeah, we're gonna pull the brakes apart. They're zip tied up on the thing because it was seized on there. I'll disassemble the caliper mounts, cut the zip ties, put these bolts back in there. Basically get the calipers disassembled and torn down for blasting, coating, and rebuild today. That way I can drop these off with the employee tomorrow. He can blast those for me, get everything cleaned up, and then we'll come back and put fresh seals and oil or O-rings and all that. Just do a caliper rebuild. So as long as I can get the compressor running and hook that up, we should be okay. Man, that could have been way worse. This is why we don't edit too much stuff on this channel. Really, I just edit out the boring bits, but holy crap. KZ750. Will it fire? Yes. So I think that's gonna be it for now. When we come back, I'm on the fence. Maybe I'll disassemble these or at least pull the brakes off and go from there. grab a fire extinguisher. We'll catch you on the next one, or the second part of this video, because I need to just calm down a minute. And by fun, I mean that was one of the most terrifying things that I've done. That was a lot of flames. Thank God it was ether. Starting fluid burns up real quick and goes out real quick. But where are we at here? I gotta cut these zip ties off and take some brake lines apart. Oh man. Okay, so it runs. Definitely needs some love. But let's pop these caliper zip ties off. And then we can kind of go from there. Just swing these out over here. So we'll pop the banjo bolts. It's all hydraulics. But we'll pop the banjos out of there, and then we'll separate them from the brackets after. And grab a drill and some metric stuff, because I don't tend to play with those very frequently. If you've been around the channel for a while, you've seen a bunch of stupid crap happen like that. Most of the time, it's usually just, you know, car calipers or car carburetors and those fun bits. Never had a full-on fireball erupt around a bike, let alone sitting in a puddle of its own shame. So yes, that caught me off guard. That was not staged, that was not intended. I don't even know if AI could pull that one off, huh? But, yeah, that happened. Be careful. Keep a fire extinguisher handy. Got one over there by the door, but my fire extinguisher is currently being used to prop open the door so I can get some cross breeze over here. That's great. It's really gonna help me in the I just lit a bike on fire scenario. Ooh, speedometer cable's super roasted too. Was that from just now or was that from earlier? I have no idea. But front two calipers are off, so we can break those down a little bit more. Then we'll do the same on the rear. I know that this one is not as bad. This one actually seemed to be working okay. But if we're gonna rebuild two, we might as well rebuild three, and I'm pretty sure that kit that I bought has all of them. I'll pop these calipers out. I'm gonna leave the bracket on there. Jesus. This whole tire's covered in wet, sludgy stuff. Pipe was spraying all sorts of whiteness out of there. And what do I need? The bleeder bolt on the bottom. Let's see if I can get to this with the drill around the pipe. It's spinning. Enough to get that out. So that's good. Jesus. I don't know what just came out of that thing. Pry bar. Put these bolts with the other ones. I know I just cracked that bleeder screw, and that's supposed to be brake fluid, but it sure don't feel like it. Which tells me it's probably filled with water. And part of the reason that these brakes don't work. Which is fine. Oh. At least get this off of here. I lost the tab. That's okay as well. And now that the calipers are off, we'll pop the bleeder screws. Well, I'll leave the bleeder screws in, but we gotta push out these pistons with air. So I am going to have to, sorry, I have to turn the compressor on now. And I don't know if I ordered brake pads. I'm guessing the rotors should probably be okay. But in the interim, I'll just make a pile of all of this different stuff. Put these banjo bolts back together here and leave those on the lines. Brake fluid is terrible for all of your paint and all of your parts. You want to spray those off with water. I'm not gonna, because I don't care enough. Ooh, It's kind of stuck. And then we'll pull these out, clear the sliders, re-grease them. I'll have to see if I can break this one free. Feels pretty stuck. Front calipers are also off. I just set all the brakes and stuff back in place. That'll be okay for now. And then I guess we'll go over to the workbench with the sockets, take the calipers off of the brackets, hook up the air line, and then see if we can pop these pistons out without any drama. Lighting bike on fire is enough drama for this video. So let me grab some tools, get set up over there. We'll start trying to bust these things apart. I was gonna get set up on the bench, but I got lazy. So, bleeder screw is still in, which means we have a sealed surface. This piston is gonna want to shoot out that way. So I'll jam a towel in here real quick, and then we're just gonna burst this with air. Unfortunately, I lost my little rubber grommet, which is really what you wanna use for this. So that is moving the piston out. Unfortunately, your rubber grommet will actually seal this where it kind of diverts the air directly through. Whew. It's a little aggressive, but that was the piston popping out of there, like so. Doesn't actually look too terrible either. A little bit of surface rust on the outside, but that should clean up with the wire wheel. So yes, this is a little aggressive and kind of scary sometimes too. Unfortunately, I gotta go full blast because I'm leaking so much air around the outside of this. With a rubber grommet or a tapered, standard fitting, would not be nearly as bad. And then for your caliper, you basically got your bleeder screw, and there's an O-ring in here that we're gonna have to replace, but we're gonna blast all of these down completely. So let's pop this 10 mil out of here for the bleeder screw as well. Hopefully this doesn't snap off because I'm using an impact. You're not supposed to. Do not do this. I'm just too lazy to walk over and grab a socket until this snaps off in here. Well, we got it out. She's not happy. And then let me grab a pick and we'll pull the O-ring. Then we'll do this 3 more times on the other ones. Man, still can't get over that fireball. That freaked me out a little bit, not going to lie. Just gotta pull this O-ring out of here. That. And now you have a bare body for a caliper. So we will plug the bleeder. I'll soak this, clean this inside up or whatever. But realistically, even if I was to blast this entire thing with softer media, you don't want to blast the bore of this. However, there's supposed to be a clearance in there. Yes, it's supposed to be machined. It's supposed to be nice and clean. But your braking rides on the O-ring more than it actually rides on this. So like, this is filled with crud and surface rust, I think. I'm just gonna have them blast these whole things. Then we'll do a deep clean on this threaded passage for the banjo bolt. Same thing through here. You don't want sand in your brake system at all. But when you're dealing with, what is this, 1980? 45-year-old stuff, like, I'd rather get all that goop and gunk out of there. Can I do it with wire brushes? Yes, but we're just gonna do it my way. I'm gonna have them blast all of these real quick, plug the threads, plug this, blast the whole caliper. It should be okay. We'll wire wheel this off the piston and then slap it back together. So since I broke my air gun, I'm not having any luck getting these things out of here. So what I'm gonna do is take all of my gaskets and seals and brake pads and sliders. Throw them in one box over here. So here is all of that. Then we're gonna clean up the rest of these. I need to pop these little sliders out of the caliper brackets if they want to come free. I might have to grab a pair of pliers. They're turning at least. All right, so one came out. Come on. I don't think there's sliders in the new kit. Let me grab some channel locks or something. There's probably better tools for this, but I just grabbed some channel locks. We're gonna try it this way and kind of twist, pull, fight. All right, halfway there. You can see how gummed up this side is. It's still spinning, which is a plus. Twist, pull, fight, twist, pull, fight. There we go. Okay, yeah, definitely need to clean these up for sure. Pop off these little stainless bits for the brake slides. Same thing again, wrestle them free. We're moving slowly, but she's going. So sometimes they end up under vacuum too, just like on anything else. Car, whatever, just little slide pins. There we go. And one more. Two more. Well, depends if I pull the ones off the rear bracket or not. So, just like the other side, 2 bad ones, 2 good ones. When you see these next, they'll be nice and powder coated satin black. So that's the coated pile. And while we're at it, let's see if I can get these other rear sliders off. This one's aluminum. Everything else is black. So this factory was aluminum. So I think I'm going to leave that one as is. There we go. And come on, one more. This is the one that was kind of seized. So it's turning, which tells me that in theory this should come out at some point. But this one might need a little more love than I want to give with my little tiny baby Harbor Freight channel locks. Okay, that one's gonna need some work, and I don't really have the patience to do that right now. So here's where we're at. We have rear caliper disassembled, gaskets and everything off. We got all the sliders off of these. All the brake pad parts are off of these. I'll add this to my little mini box here. I need a bigger box. This is also the new KZ box for everything I take off. Maybe I'll just throw that stuff in here. But the brakes are disassembled, brake lines are free. Right side needs a switch and a master cylinder, which we have sitting over there. We lit it on fire but didn't die, so that's a plus. Other than that, I think that's about it. Next time we come back and get these, I don't know if it's gonna make the cut for doing a separate video on separating these. I just need a rubber. Basically the problem is normally you blast air through here with the bleeder screw closed, and it forces air behind the piston to push it out. I don't know how locked up these are, depending on how rough that is. I don't have my little rubber nipple on the end of my airline. I broke that the other day and never replaced it yet. So Basically, when I try and blow air through that, it's forcing that out because it doesn't have a soft seal. But we'll get this hooked up, try and blast some air through there and free those up. If that doesn't work, then we'll have to get creative. So if it does come out once I put a fresh rubber seal on there, then this will not be in the video. If I'm struggling on these for a little while and there's any tips and tricks to free up a stuck caliper, it might make a video. We'll kind of see and go from there, but as of right now, I do not have enough parts or enough things to get this taken care of right now, and it's late. I've been working since, I don't know, 7:38 this morning. It's been a long day. I lit a bike on fire. I got the phase converter, rotary phase converter done and working. Oh, before we leave, not that it matters for 90% of you that are clicking on this to look at Kawasaki stuff, but we got the block heater hooked up on this, and I want to check that now that it's been sitting for an hour. If we come over here, I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm just clicking on this to look at the thing. It's going up. That's where we're at for now. KZ750, lit on fire, not on fire, runs, but we got to fix all the brakes and the other parts. Just hearing that little bit of it running and firing, I'm not too worried on that. And yes, it needs carb clean. Yes, it needs to be gone over, so we'll throw fresh plugs and chase down a bunch of other stuff. Also needs a ton of electrical that I don't necessarily want to do, but I'm hoping just replacing that switch is going to help me on that. And if that doesn't do it, and it ends up being something more complicated in the loom, I might just rip the loom apart and do a quick down and dirty Bare Essentials wiring setup, because I don't care about the turn signals, I don't care about any of that other bits, any of those other things. And if it ends up going that route, maybe we'll just cut it up and use the swing arm and weld a budget chopper together. Oh well, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully I don't burn the place down before that.